30 now.
Nowich.
Now.
This is Dan from Chasing the Missing Link. We took a little break for my birthday, some downtime, a couple days. And it's pouring cats and dogs. So on the in-between day, I got a bunch of chicken legs here. We got 10 pounds of chicken legs. Definitely more cluck for your buck. If you can get, now these are leg quarters. Leg quarter, you can see a little tail here. Okay, that's what a leg quarter is. They just split it down the back. So it's got the bone from the back on it. An actual whole chicken leg is boned off the chicken and doesn't have the piece of back on it. So you're paying for extra bone, so the price should be extra lower. Back in the day when we used to sell these, we'd sell them for 39 cents a pound, 10-pound bags, so $3.90 a bag, give or take. Nowadays, you'd be lucky to find them at 79 cents a pound, $7.90 a bag. But if you find them at about $6.90 a bag, that's a pretty good price. $5.90 a bag, that's a great price. If it's $9.90 a bag, pass and go buy something else. Chicken legs should not be, regular chicken legs will be about, they used to be about 69. They're like 30 cents a pound higher. Cheap ones for regular chicken legs, 79. 99's a little stiff on regular chicken legs, but that's what they sell drumstick and thigh, the split pieces for, which is basically a whole chicken leg. Now I've seen them in the $1.29s, $1.39s, $1.49s, because meat prices are getting so high. But these are still sitting around 59 cents a pound, $5.90 for a 10-pound bag, and they're usually frozen. So it's definitely a better deal. But part of the problem everybody thinks is, well, I got this giant pile of chicken, and I don't really want to cook all the legs at once. Well, it's kind of nice. You can kind of do it all at once and then package it up, or you can break it down and package it up, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Especially if you have a lot of kids that like the drumsticks, or you got somebody in the house that likes buffalo chicken wings, but buffalo chicken wings are $4.59 to $6.59 a pound. So why don't we make buffalo drumsticks? Most people eat the drumstick of the chicken wing. Let's get it with a little more meat on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do buffalo drumsticks. I'm going to do lemon pepper on most of the thighs. The spice we're going to use, again, for the drumsticks and for some of the thighs, because I like Baja spicy. We only have one person in the house that's a mild eater, so we're going to do Baja spicy on most of it, and then we're going to do, Scott Santa Maria version of lemon pepper. This is basically Santa Maria with a little bit of lemon. This is my go-to kind of dry spice for seafood if I'm not just using Santa Maria, because it's already got the citrus. Hopefully I'll get some fish in the near future, and I'll be able to do that and show you guys some things. I can do a lot of things with fish, depending on the fish. I'm going to try and do some smoked trout here pretty soon. And I have a potential on some elk. I didn't pull tags this season, but somebody bring me some and we'll make some really kick-ass sausage out of it. We're getting close to the holidays. I think since Thanksgiving's the third week of the month, we'll live stream a few things with turkeys if I can get about 3 birds. Because there's about 3 different things I want to do. I want to do a light dark roll. I definitely want to do a turducken, but a turducken is not really Thanksgiving. That's a Christmas thing. It's Christmas is kind of it's up in the air. We don't know what we're going to have. It could be surf and turf. It could be roast beef. It could be prime rib. Um, some of the Jewish holidays and the Catholic holidays, they do fish on Fridays. I haven't been able to get enough fish to do a Friday, but there's a couple different things to do. I haven't seen any real premier good fish. If I can get a call in to Pacific Seafood and see if they'll sell me 3 or 4 pounds, I'll do some stuffed soles. Stuff that I got to do stuff that you guys can get not only here in Oregon and on the West Coast, but on the East Coast as well. All right, let's get back to chicken. So we're going to do Baja Spicy and lemon pepper. Let me get rid of the bag. It's just 10 pounds of frozen chicken legs, leg quarters. As you can see, leg quarters. So if you look at leg quarters and it says it has sodium phosphate or something in it, that's not necessarily a preservative. Freezers are dehydrators. It sucks the moisture out of meat. So the longer it's in the freezer, the drier it gets. You'll notice if you put some fresh meat in your freezer and you forgot about it for a real long time, and you went to get it out, and it was like super light and dry like a piece of wood, yeah, it sucked all the moisture out of while it was in there. It's kind of a funny thing. I mean, if you put it back in the water, it'll come back to life, but it's been in there so long, you wouldn't want to do that. So we're going to go back to the poultry thing. Everybody on here shows you to cut chicken legs. I've showed you before. Put this chicken leg. All poultry legs are the same. They all have this line. Let's pick up a whole bunch of them. Line right there. Line right there. I mean, I know where to cut these all day long. Line right there. But for those of you who don't, always cut inside the line to the thigh. Just barely. Every time. Then you can pull the skin over the drumstick, make a perfect drumstick. Thighs go on that side. So we're going to do, this is how I used to teach the guys when we had to do cut-ups. I'd have them learn this way, and then eventually you get so good at knowing the spot, you don't have to look. Instead of being lucky half the time and not being lucky the other half the time, you could get it 100% of the time, because the line's kind of like right there. See, I missed. Cut a little bit over and I hit it. So, but if I stay looking at the backside all the time, I see the lines right there. I'll hit it every time. I mean, a lot of people will show you, oh, just cut up chicken legs. Okay. This way you can cut them up, you can break them up. Now, once you get them cut up, if you're not feeding a truckload of people, drumsticks don't really feed much. I mean, for a meal, it's kind of like a chicken wing. You only eat maybe you eat an 8-piece wing, you would eat 4 drumsticks. There's not a lot of meat on them. So, well, that's a close one. I'm not really paying attention to the line, but you guys should. There it is. Oh, yes. So let's see. Let's see how many we get in the set of chicken. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. We get 15 legs in a 10-pound sack on these birds. So, let me get my blood off the block so I can lay these out, and we're going to season them. Notice the blood color is real nice, kind of reddish. That's a good defrost. It hasn't been left laying around. I always do these odd out, in, odd out, in. I like to leave the skin on. Now these are going to be, basically, there's not much to make in buffalo sauce. I guess everybody's got a different way to do it. The way I was shown years ago is Frank's Red Hot with butter. So that's what I'll do. After these all get to the cook stage at 180 degrees, thighs are always 180 degrees. What I'm going to do is pull the thighs off, and they'll go in a catch pan. The drumsticks are probably going to cook slightly faster. We're going to make a buffalo sauce. A couple pets of butter, half a cup of Frank's or so, whatever it takes to get it done. When these come off, I'll roll them in a bowl, get them good and coated, and I'll throw them back on the grill for about 20 minutes to get the sauce to bake in. And then when they come off again, we'll brush them with a good coating of sauce, and they'll be ready to serve. So first we're going to do drumsticks. See how wet my pan is. Since these are going right to the grill, I want them kind of dry. And since they're different flavors, put that down. We're going Scott's Baja Spicy. Probably one of my favorites. Baja Spicy, even though they won't tell you. I will. It used to be called Jezebel. I make a sausage called Jezebel, and the main seasoning is the Baja Spicy. It's a real interesting sausage. It's not like one you'll find in a typical store. It's made with typically skin-on chicken breasts, not legs. So it's super, super high in protein, super lean. And on top of that, it's got serrano chilies, cilantro, green onion, sun-dried tomatoes, and a few other odds and ends. What we do is we grind that typically on coarse. Chicken has a real light texture. Most of your poultries, when you're working with poultry, it's not like working with beef where it's a real hearty texture. You want to grind it on that on a coarser setting. The reason you want to do that is you still want to have some meaty texture. I might get a duck hunt in before the end of the year. I know I need a duck for my turducken, but I'll probably order a white or a Peking duck for that, domestic. Or if somebody's got a duck farm around, I'll just get a duck and I'll kill it and feather it. Which might be interesting because I have a feathering technique my mom used to use back in the day when my dad would goose hunt that some people have probably never seen. and it's pretty damn good. My mom used to cook all kinds of game. As far as game cooking, she taught me how to cook game because my grandmas and stuff were away from the farm pretty much by then. My one grandma, my nano, the one I cooked most of my life, came from Kansas and Missouri in a covered wagon when there were no roads during the smallpox epidemic back in the Western era, because it was covered wagon. And she used to tell us that the stories like the Indians used to approach their things and they had the gun slots. It was actually like you'd see in a Western and stuff. But one thing they were more afraid of than guns and everything else was smallpox. So my great-great-grandma, her mom, took a red pen and dotted all the people's faces up. And they saw all that and skedaddled. She's been gone now a few years now. But my nano was my dad's side great-grandma. On my dad's side, there was my great-uncle Art, the fisherman and the hunter. My grandpa wasn't alive very long. He was a fireman. Pasadena, got hurt, got sick. He'd been gone since 76. And my dad, he was also a fireman, battalion chief. He actually retired from Pasadena. And my brother, he's also a fireman. You see a train of thought, everybody's fireman. My nephew is also a fireman. No, not nephew, my cousin. Well, one of them. I have 5 cousins. So, and I'm the oldest of the whole mess. And I just turned 57. So since I'm kind of retired, disabled the agency, and I don't have kids, so not too many people for me to pass this information on to. So, back to ducks. My mom and dad, I mean, we had pictures like you see in some of the books of duck hunters, I mean, geese hunters and stuff like that. He made his own decoys way back before, I guess, decoys were even really being bought. Made them out of giant pieces of cardboard and painted them black and white, put eyes on them, made them with metal sticks so they'd stick in the ground good. You could lay a good decoy spread. And, I mean, they were effective, very effective. They were flat killing them. So my dad would come home with more geese than you can imagine. Between 5 or 6 guys, it was 100 geese probably. And random ducks in the mix. And I think a lot of the duck hunting they used to do, we did hunt Kern area, the cotton fields and stuff like that. There was also a lot of pheasant back then, the alfalfa fields. We also hunted Salton Sea. I remember a day in Salton Sea. We had both our dogs. We had Spot, which was a female, and we had Thumper. Thumper was more my brother than my brother. He was a great dog. He was a champion short hair. We used to raise short hairs when we were kids. And the dogs got in a fight in the duck line. And I was young. I don't know, probably 8 maybe. So I'm grabbing one dog. My dad's grabbing the other dog. My brother's screaming. And all there is spit and blood and saliva and dogs going into each other because they get so damn excited being in the blind they want to go and they can't really go anywhere, so we're stuck in a blind just sitting for hours and hours on end. So at all those hours, dogs get in a dog fight because they both want to go grab ducks and geese and stuff like that, and it's crazy. And then we get stuck in the mud because my dad used to drive when we were driving down there. We weren't taking the 4-wheel drive. We were driving a 72 Datsun 5-speed. And all the stuff was in the back. Yeah, these little slick ass tires. And we get stuck in the mud. That's how I kind of got my nickname, Dirty Dan. My brother was driving. My dad was on the dry side. I was on the wet side pushing the truck out. And as we pushed the truck out and the truck spinning its tire, I was completely coated with mud. I looked like Swamp Thing. So it was not a fun ride home. Cold, wet, muddy. Everything tasted like mud. And that was that nice, funky, skanky-ass black mud from back in the day. So we're about to put these on the smoker. And for those of you guys that hunt, feathering ducks and geese is a royal pain. And if you got 25 birds or something like that to feather between like even 3 or 4 people, it's going to take you all day and night. So let me give you a suggestion. Mom used to hate feathering birds. Well, back in this day, everybody had clotheslines, and clothespins and all that stuff. She used to get a big, it was probably just a big old steel pot, and blocks of paraffin wax. And we melt those. We used to use them for canning and stuff, but we also had a second set of paraffin for doing game animals. And we used the same pot that would solid up when it was done. And we put it on an outside burner, hot pad or whatever it was. Let it get all molten and liquefied. And we dip the ducks in the wax. And then we hang them by their neck and wait for them to dry. Then when all the wax was fluffed with feathers, or not fluffed with feathers, but when all the ducks were dry, we put slits in them in the wax, because the ducks were now coated in wax, and we peel them like a banana. So now we have all these feather sheets stuck in wax. Well, my mom used to replace the down and the down pillows because pillows always get a hole in them and feathers be flying across the house, or the dogs would use them thinking they're a duck in the pillow. So we'd be replacing feathers here and there back in the day. So you take all those feathers that are thick in wax and throw them back in the pot. And when the wax liquefies, you skim the feathers off the top. And now you have these duck feathers. When they eventually dry, you can put them in a pillow and use them. And the wax is still in the pot. You can reuse it again. You don't lose very much. So it was the easiest way to do ducks just because it took everything. When you peel it, man, it would pop all the hairs out. It's almost like, I guess, your girlfriend waxing her face or waxing her legs or whatever. We were just waxing ducks. Mom had a great idea. I've never seen duck wax on the market, but coming to you soon. Who knows? But that's how that got. So we're going to move outside. I'm going to throw these on a smoker. They're going to have to go to 180 degrees. They're probably room temp now because I had them out for about a half hour. I'm figuring I'm going to run at 300, I think, 275, 300. I'm figuring about an hour and a half tops. So we'll probably cut you guys off because looking at a grill in a pouring ass rainstorm is probably no fun. So we'll come back when these get pretty much done and after I've done a coating, and then we'll finish them off, throw them on a plate, and let everybody have a free-for-all. All right, this is Dan from Chasing the Missing Link. This is what goes to the smoker. We'll see what comes back.